I want to welcome all our students here. Abhimanyu, Lochana, Arvind, Arya, and Archit. A big, warm welcome. We spoke last evening and you're all safe in your homes, and we're really happy to know that you're safe wherever you are. We wanted to have this conversation because there are parents and students who've heard from experts all day, right? They've heard the industry view, they've heard the academic view, but we want to hear it from the horse's mouth. What is your experience and how is it going? So all of you are second year students. You've all selected your majors. So you've had about a year and a half, 2 years of the Krea experience. I'm going to start off by sort of just going around the room, and if each one of you could introduce yourselves, state your major, your minor, what school you were from, and just your names, of course. So Abhimanyu, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So hi guys, I'm Abhimanyu, and I was actually homeschooled before coming to Krea. That's one thing. And at Krea, I chose a major in social studies with a minor in economics. And currently, right now, I'm in Kolkata. So that's all.
Okay, in case everyone could hear him, Abhimanyu, there's something off with your internet. Just want to check that. Abhimanyu is from Kolkata. He was homeschooled, and his major is social studies and his minor is economics, if I got that right. That's his combination. Lochana.
Yes, first of all, thank you for having me. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So hello everyone. This is Lochana from Andhra Pradesh. I'm basically a second year undergraduate student who is doing a computer science major and a chemistry minor at Krea.
All right. Thanks, Lochana. Arvind?
Yeah. Hi. I'm Arvind Krishnan. I'm based in Bangalore. I'm doing a math major and a comp science minor.
Okay, that's a math major and a comp science minor, for those who could hear him. Archit?
Hi everyone, I'm Archit Venugopalan. I'm from Nagpur, and I completed my schooling from Centrepoint Nagpur. And now at Krea, I'm pursuing my second year with a computer science major and a math minor.
Thanks, Archit. Arya?
Hi everyone, I'm Arya Lovekar. I'm in Bangalore right now. I went to school at Head Start Educational Academy, and right now I'm pursuing a literature major at Krea.
Awesome. And Satvika, so good to see you again.
Hi, thanks for having me again. So my name is Satvika Char. I live in Bombay. I studied at VCW Arya Mandir till my 10th grade, and my 11th and 12th in Bombay, we have junior colleges. So I studied in HR College of Commerce and Economics. And at Krea, I'm pursuing a major in psychology and a minor in literature.
So one of the, it is a relatively popular combination, Satvika, and I'm going to kick off this panel by just asking you. I'll start with you. The $1,000,000 question: why liberal arts? Why liberal education?
So for me, after my 11th grade, I chose commerce, and I chose it because I came from a family of finance background, and I didn't really know, I hadn't explored, I hadn't experimented, and I didn't really have a very clear idea back then of what I wanted to do. So while I was studying commerce, I did a lot of reading then. It's a little late, but better late than never. So I did a little bit of reading then, and I realized that I was really fascinated by the human mind and about understanding it better and deeper. And so I realized that I wanted to do psychology, but I didn't want to make the same decision of, going into something that only had a one-centered approach and didn't allow me to explore and look at other options and really see, because at this age, if you're lucky if you know what you want to do, but many of us don't know what you want to do, and there's a whole world is out there for you to explore and look at. So a liberal arts education allowed me to really just dip my toes into the different disciplines, different subjects. I was exposed to a lot of, all of us were, as a part of our first year and the core courses, we were exposed to a wide variety of subjects, ranging from ethics to data analytics to literature to computer science. It's a wide variety of subjects. And that itself gives you an understanding of, okay, what is it that I'm more inclined towards? And even if you've still not sort of figured it out, even once you start your official major and you start off on that path, you still have a chance to explore other courses, take up other courses, and really see what it is that interests you. So liberal arts and Krea in particular allowed me that chance, and I really benefited from it. And now I'm very clear about what I want to do. So yeah.
That's beautifully articulated. I think we've been answering this question all day, but I'm yet to hear a better explanation of the liberal education experience. So that's fantastic. And Archit, I want to come to you because you have an interesting major. You're basically comp science and mathematics, right? We'll talk about the combination in the next segment, but why a liberal education degree, a liberal arts degree for comp science and maths?
Yeah, so I completed my 11th and 12th in the science stream, and I had taken physics, chemistry, math, and biology. So as you notice, no comp science there. And after that, I was clear that I didn't want to do engineering or medicine. I didn't want to go to those professional courses. I wanted to do something in sciences, probably for research later. So that's why I had a few universities, like I had to choose from a few universities, and I chose Krea because, and in general, liberal arts and sciences institution, because it will give me the option to explore within the sciences, the different options in the first year, and then for me to make a better informed choice about what I want to take up in my second year. And in addition to that, because I'll get to choose different courses according to my interest and not what the university enforces upon me. So yeah. That's
absolutely makes sense. Arya, would love to hear from you. Literature major. Go ahead.
Right. So I'm a person who has changed my major a couple of times and came into Krea intending to do a social studies major. But like Satvika mentioned, right, the first year lets you do a variety of courses. It lets you meet all these different profs, to read a lot of authors, a lot of theorists, and that really helps you understand a little bit more about what each of the subjects are. There's also this wonderful series of lectures that we got in which the majors were described and explained, and we could ask as many questions as we wanted. So that really helped me realize that I actually want to do a literature major. Despite my interest in sociology, it was literature that really was it for me. And I think that's not something you can do in something which is not liberal arts.
Yeah, absolutely. Lochana, Arvind, Abhimanyu, do you concur with what you've heard, or is there anything else that you would like to add, any of you?
So when it comes to me, my answer will obviously resonate with all of the students who have answered till now. I mean, I was basically from PCM background in 12th, and I used to live in that ocean of uncertainty, not knowing what to pursue further. The reason why I chose liberal studies and particularly Krea is because we have that flexibility to explore as many disciplines as possible, and we were given the freedom to choose majors and minors that are best inclined with our interests and the world around. So yeah.
Yeah, Abhimanyu, I think you had unmuted. Go ahead.
Yeah. Like, I think my experience is very similar to what Arya described, what Satvika described. I think in my case, I was homeschooled. Am I audible? Can you get, yeah, okay. So I was homeschooled, and up until very late, I didn't know what I wanted to do at all. Like, and I had no idea with colleges also. So a lot of others still had, they said, okay, maybe I'll do psychology or commerce. I had no idea about these things at all. And the first time I saw, like, I think I saw a few of the liberal arts colleges, and I basically read on the website the system of where you can just explore majors and then choose. And I thought, okay, this is the kind of college I need to get into, because I had no idea what I want to do. And this college is basically about letting you explore different subjects. So I think that's like, it was a no-brainer for me. It had to be liberal arts. So yeah.
Thanks. That really helps understand the mindset. I mean, we have students who are fairly clear about the direction they wanted to go in, but they wanted to explore within, say, the realm of sciences. They wanted to explore each discipline. And then there were those who were sort of on the fence about humanities and sciences and, arts, etc. So it's not just, you don't just take up liberal arts and sciences if you're confused. You also do it if you want to really explore within a specific realm. With that, I want to get into your choices. A lot of students have a lot of confusions around what are the right combinations to pick and how do you arrive at those combinations. So it would really help to get some inputs from you on what were you thinking initially and what you've majored in now. Like Arya, you said you changed your major a couple of times. So what was the process of discovery? What are you doing right now? And what do you have in mind, if you have something in mind in terms of a career progression at this point? Arya, why don't we start with you?
Sure. So I'll say that right now I'm very clear on what I want to do. I'm very sure about literature, but like you said, it gives you the opportunity to explore. And in every term, there's always some course from some other major that stands out as being really interesting, and you get to explore that. About how I got here. So there was certainly a lot of uncertainty, but I realized that it was the literature courses that really made me feel happy about what I was studying. It made me feel motivated. I enjoyed all the readings, things like that. So that's kind of why I picked literature, and I intend to go into research and teaching. So maybe a master's and a PhD afterwards. I'm not entirely sure about that, but that's kind of where I want to go. But I will say that literature has this reputation of being something where you can't get a job afterwards, or there's no career opportunities, and that's obviously that's something that I also faced, right? So many people would ask me, but I think that it is a really wide field. It gives you, just doing a literature major gives you the skills to deal with any kind of text. It lets you engage with so many different kinds of things. A lot of the literature courses are theory courses. You read about sociology and psychology and a bunch of other things. It gives you a really broad spread. And there are a bunch of things you can go into. One of my professors told me about someone who's into environmental science, but he did a literature major and progressed through that line. But it's environmental science, and he's an activist in that. You can do journalism, you can do a bunch of things. And I really think it is a major that has a lot more scope than it's given credit for.
Absolutely. And if any of you and the audience has attended the literature panel, and what a stellar panel it was. And we had Shobha Vishwanath from Karate Tales amongst, and we had Akhila, of course, Akhila, we had Sumitra, we had so many wonderful people joining. And the sheer range of careers that within that panel existed, and they were all somewhere in literature and arts in the realm. It was fantastic. And who would have thought, right? Satvika, what is your thought process and how you've arrived at your major minor combination?
Right. So like I mentioned earlier on about my major, I was relatively clear that I wanted to do psychology, but I was not sure about my minor. What I did know is that I wanted my minor to be something that I was interested in, but also something that complements my major as psychology. So coming from a commerce background, I had been exposed to economics, and I loved economics. So but I also loved reading, and I loved books and writing and all of that. So I was on the fence between whether an economics major which is something I'm interested in, would work with psychology, because that opens up the field of, behavioral sciences and all of that. Or if literature would also be a good combination, because with literature, you have, what it does is it allows you to essentially step into the world of someone else, the mind of someone else, the mind of a writer, the mind of the characters of the book. And these allows you to build these qualities of garnering empathy, placing yourself in somebody else's situation, things like that, which are very important while pursuing a major like psychology. So both of these disciplines had their own scope. And I think I could add on to what Arya said about how literature beautifully works with so many other disciplines. So I was not sure which one to pick. So what I ended up doing was that in my first year itself, in my, first year when I could pick my major, that's my second year at Krea, I was able to pick the psychology courses that I had to take, which were the required courses. And then I was able to also sit in on economics classes as well as literature classes. So I was able to take initially For 2 weeks, Krea offers what is called a drop-in, drop-out period. So you can pick up courses, take them. If you feel like they're working, go ahead, carry on with the rest of the trimester. If you don't feel like they're working, then you can just drop the course, and that's pretty much it. It's very simple, and it allows you to not commit to something that for an entire period of 3 months that you might not be sure works with your deadlines, works with your level of work that you're okay with doing, or even with your major and your other subjects. So when I picked an economics course and a literature course, I realized that even though I loved both the subjects, literature was something that for me personally felt like it would work better with psychology and my own interests. So I went ahead, I dropped the economics course, I went ahead with the literature course, and I then continued pursuing other literature courses, and I was able to decide on my minor, and I'm very happy with my major minor combination.
It sounds like it. You're very passionate about the subjects you've chosen. And Arvind, I found your combination to be not unusual, but I find the order to be slightly interesting. My favorite subject, not math, is your major, and comp science is a minor. What gives? Like, why this combination?
So I was pretty clear about wanting to go into comp theory and that kind of research, and I was already pretty good at comp coming like when I was applying to college, and I'd applied to a lot of engineering schools and stuff as well. And I was all geared to go to one of them, but it sort of hit me that I wanted to do math because I had started to get more into math and do more of it. And so I wanted the opportunity to study something that would very specifically be aligned with my interests and what I'd like to pursue. So I majored in math because I knew it was skills that I needed and skills that I wanted to build upon so that I could do research. And I took a comp, obviously, a comp minor, because that's also going to be my field of research. So it was really just convenience with what I'd like to do with my future.
No, I think you simplified it too much. In our conversation yesterday, you actually said, it was very interesting, you should hear this. He said, comp science is something I knew, which he said right now, but math is something I wanted to get better at, right? So he said, I'm going to do a major in math because I want to be better at it. And therefore, I'm going to do math as my major. So brave choice there, Arvind, and all the best to you. Archit, do you want to talk a little bit about your choices?
Yeah. So as I had said before, computer science was not a subject that I took up in my class 12. And it might be weird for like jumping into it as a major. But I was interested in sciences in general, and I couldn't choose which of the sciences to go into. Physics, chemistry, biology, or math. Or then I noticed something that ties everything together is in the future, there's going to be a lot of involvement of automation, artificial intelligence, data science in all the sciences. So that's where I felt going that that inculcated the interest for artificial intelligence into me. And then for that, I chose computer science as a major and math as a minor, because computer science would help me get into artificial intelligence, and math would back up all the backbone. Math forms the backbone of all the sciences and computer science. So that's why I chose this combination.
All right. Abhimanyu, do you want to tell us a little bit about your combination of social studies major and minor in economics?
Yeah. So during my Cambridge exams, I kind of took a liking to sociology. And when I came to Krea, I had no, like I mentioned earlier, I had no idea what I want to do, but I was looking forward to exploring. And like I think someone else mentioned, we had these introduction to majors talks in the first year, where faculty of that section would kind of give a talk about what to expect with the major, what to learn, and so on. And I think I attended almost all of them, or like the ones that I thought I could do, because I wanted to gain as much experience as possible. And I think that's when I decided I sat in on the social studies talk, and I found it really interesting because it was an intersection. It was mainly sociology, but it was an intersection between sociology, politics, a little bit of economics, and so on. So I found that very interesting. And economics was something that was completely new to me. And I was reading a few books on economics in my first year, just by myself. and that's something I wanted to pick up, like a skill, something I wanted to learn. So I thought I'd do. Until the last moment, I was kind of on the fence on which to do a major in. But finally, I think because of the faculty and because I found social studies more interesting, I decided to do a major in social studies and a minor in economics. Yeah.
That's wonderful. I love the direction that this conversation is taking, and I'm truly intrigued. So let's start by busting some myths. There is a wide perception among students and parents that liberal arts is easy and that the academic pressure or workload is not as intense as, say, other degrees or pathways. So why don't you bust this and tell us a little bit about your typical day at Krea, so our audience gets a sense of how light your days are. So Arvind, would you like to take this question up and tell us how your typical day at Krea is?
I think before I go into the specifics of what I do, it's important to note that when it comes to science degrees, especially at the undergrad level, all the concepts that are covered are essentially universal. So if I went to Manipal or if I went somewhere else and studied a math major, I would still be learning the same things. And so the idea that the workload could differ is a little pointless because the workload is exactly the same because you're learning the exact same thing. So there's really no difference when it comes to a science degree specifically, because you'll just learn the concepts that you're expecting to learn at an undergrad level. And additionally, you get the opportunity to take courses that might be outside your stream and stuff like that. So if anything, to some degree, it kind of adds to your workload because you are forced to go outside of your comfort zone and sort of do something new.
Interesting, very interesting. Abhimanyu, is there something you'd like to add? Would you describe your typical day at Krea?
Yeah, I think I echo what Arvind says. I think the notion, I think there's something even I heard before, like when I was doing research back in my, back before joining a college. I think it stems from that, the myth stems from the fact that we are supposed to do a major and a minor. So I think people think, okay, maybe it's a little diluted. But I think in the first year, I was having a conversation with the professor and he was telling me about how we are expected to know as much at the end of 3 years as any normal college will teach their students and thing. But so we cannot like learn less of that and like kind of send us off to to companies to work with. So we're supposed to, whatever our degree is, economics or sciences or even social studies, we're expected to know as much as any other graduate from college would be. But on top of that, we also have a minor. So like that's like kind of an added thing. So so he said that the appeal of a liberal arts degree is the fact that you have that extra knowledge in a different subject and you can kind of interweave it. So yeah, I definitely don't think it's it's light per se. It's quite rigorous, and something I particularly like is the fact that and this is something that Krea emphasizes a lot, is the fact that it's the workload is kind of suited to what is expected of us to do after, whether in academia or after whatever you're supposed to do. So I'm doing a social studies degree. Apart from like obviously having a lot of readings, we also have to do a lot of research ourselves. So we have every trimester, we have like this big research paper to submit, which is like around 4,000 words, where we have to do a lot of primary as well as secondary research. So that's kind of made me comfortable with the rigor. And that's like not even including the capstone thesis that we have at the end of 3 years, which is like a big research project. So I think that's all.
So reading, research, and a very intensive curriculum is what you can expect from liberal education, is what I have heard. Does anyone want to add anything, or can I move forward to the next question?
I think one of the things, guys, if anybody wants to talk about is how Krea has a trimester model, right? I'm sure you have friends with, in universities with semester models. So how does the trimester model help you, or does it help you, or does it add, or does it, take off the pressure? So anybody wants to talk about that?
Yeah, I could. So the thing is, my friends and I have talked about this a fair bit, that it feels like the trimester goes by so fast as compared to the semester that my friends from other colleges talk about. But it does mean that you have to really get into the courses that you are taught. 4 courses per trimester, so for 12 weeks you have 4 courses, and it is fast. You have to pick up the material. Of course, the profs are there to help. They are so kind, but it is something where you really have to pay attention. You have to do the work, and it is rigorous. So this, I have no idea where this myth comes from that liberal education is lighter or easier, because it's a lot, and it's really rewarding when you get that content finally.
Right. Satvika, you want to add something?
Yeah. One point to add on. So I'll talk about literature as my minor. One thing to also note is how Krea, the interwoven aspect of learning that comes in with Krea, which is basically how different disciplines are, woven together, they gel together to form one course. So when we're exploring literature, all our courses aren't just reading. Some of our courses, one of our courses is a literature course that derives from psychoanalysis and psychology. Another one of our courses looked at Chaucer and the Arabic and Persian traditions. Another one of our courses is looking at technology and literature and AI and blogging and things like that. So when we're looking at all these different disciplines as well, there's no really, you can't assume that just even a particular subject is going to be lighter or more rigorous or anything like that, because all these individual disciplines and individual courses are also very often cross-listed, or they work with another discipline, and it becomes quite rigorous because you're trying to keep up with an intermingling of two different streams of thought which work together very well, but they're two different aspects of a course nevertheless. So that too adds to the way that you absorb the content, the level of how rigorous it is and things like that. So I would definitely not say that it is not rigorous or that it is a light syllabus.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I mean, I think you've summed it up pretty much perfectly. So liberal education is nothing but easy and light. Guys, fun, yes, light, no. So moving on to my next question, one of the hallmarks of liberal education is its multidisciplinary approach. As is evident from your individual major and minor combinations, or what we call the interwoven approach to learning that Satvika just spoke about. But skill building is equally integral to liberal arts and sciences. Would you like to share with us how, other than your core subject, that's your curriculum, what additional skills are you learning and how you think they will help you in your career goals? Considering that we also have Kala here, it would be interesting to hear from you as to what you have to say. So Arya, would you like to go first on this question?
Sure. So I think this has been mentioned before, but because of the diversity of courses that you get in your first term, right? The first year, it means that you learn things that you would not otherwise dabble in if you only stuck to your major. So for example, as a literature major, I would probably never learn coding. But the kinds of projects that I did for certain courses, or even the computer science course that I did, all of those things got me into something completely different, right? Or say a math course and things like that. And these courses are really a foundation stone for everything else that you learn afterwards. So we write a lot of essays, for example, and there is a course in the first term that teaches you how to write essays in a way that's, not just copy pasting of Wikipedia, but you actually learn how to analyze text, how to put it together, how to cite things. And that goes for all of these courses. They really make you think in a lot of different ways. I will also say that the way that liberal education is structured, and especially at Krea, is that student government and extracurriculars, club activities, all of these also form a really central part of all of this. And so I was part of the team that wrote the student constitution for SIS in my first and little of my second year. And I learned so much about, firstly, I read a bunch of different types of constitutions. I learned a lot about political theory that I probably would not have been exposed to otherwise. And I learned things like leadership skills, how to manage meetings, how to, which is really something so it feels alien to my major, but it's really something that will help at some point. There is definitely going to be something where I might have to lead some project, or I might have to organize something, and I cannot overestimate the amount that I learned from that experience.
Wonderful. All right, Lochana, is there something that you'd like to share, considering your interesting externship opportunity?
Yeah, so regarding the skill set, if we consider the mandatory course in the first year and the activities that we do in the various clubs that we have, they induce qualities, as Arya has mentioned: critical thinking, communication, creative problem solving capability, self-expression, innovative research, etc., which I believe are not only necessary for our career, but also as an to grow as an individual, right? So in addition, we are given opportunity to interact and engage with industry experts all over the world, and this has helped me to apply whatever I have learned in the class to the real world. And lastly, this is something that is very personal to me. I was really apprehensive about the diverse cohort that we have at Krea, and it was really scary in the beginning interacting with different people coming from different lifestyles. But however, through group presentations or whatever it may be, Krea induces that ability to appreciate the differences among students, to see and accept others very much similar to our own selves. What's important is we form a family here, and which I'm really very grateful for. And as you've mentioned, if it comes to the internships, in addition to the internship that I have done with an NGO in the first year, something that's really special to me is the externship that I have done with the IBM in the second year, where I was part of designing a chatbot. This is really special to me just because it's a wonderful opportunity just for an undergraduate student, because companies or industries don't really come forward to give internship opportunities to an undergraduate, right? So these internships or externships are a parallel classroom setting where we get the exposure to the real world problems, and we'll be asked to find possible strategies or solutions to circumvent them. And I'm very much looking forward to the research internships I'll be doing this summer.
Thanks, Lochana. I can't find a better time for Kala to jump in here, because we all know how hard the Office of Career Services works to curate internships for students, whether it's in year 1 or year 2. Kala, tell us a little bit about the handholding process and how, what kind of a role does your office play in helping students make those decisions. And there's a second part to it, which is what kind of skills or preparation does CSO offer to our students to prepare and apply for these internships?
Thanks, Bhakti. I mean, yes, for an office of, and then the number of students that we have around the second year, the first year, it's quite a, I guess, a challenging task for us, as well as the opportunity, because one of the biggest tasks that we had to do was really educate the industry about Krea. We are a new university, and that, I think, has been one of the biggest challenges and the huge opportunity that we got. And today, we are a year or two up. The number of people who came to Career Dialogues, the kind of companies are beginning to take notice. So the only way that we could achieve that is try and plug students out there, get the word going, and talk about it. So that's really, I think, has been so there's two things the Career Services have been focused on. One is how much does the external world actually understand Krea? And also, this being the very first batch, they really, by fire, we have to do a good job with them. The other thing is really, some students are very clear about when they come in. Some students are very unsure about the career paths they take. In terms of mentorship, I think our faculty does a great job with many students, and the faculty really talks through, the students connect very well with the faculty. So much of, I think, to a clarity around what majors that they need to do, and all those conversations happen very well with faculty. So it's very less academic in terms of when the Career Services actually comes. Sometimes we help students, for instance, they love subjects, but they don't know where to apply it. So we kind of go through one-on-one sessions. In our one-on-one sessions, we kind of talk about what really excites you. And okay, if you're really in literature, what really excites you? Is it the reading? Is it the writing? Is it about working with a collaborative kind of team of other angles? And then what do you like to write in non-fiction or non-fiction? So we try and get this through one-on-one sessions. So the Career Services Office has an open calendar every day. We have 1 hour dedicated and 2 hours on a Saturday, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. is written off. That's what we do every Saturday, and every day 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. where we invite students to just drop in and have a conversation with us. And we talk through some of the aspects they're looking at. And then on the other hand is for us to find the kind of projects and opportunities that they. Some of them very interested in research. Some of them say that I'm very interested in looking at a master. So what are things I need to do prior to getting the master? Some want a proper industry internship. So this is our first year. We've kind of, I think in the first year, we've had, our second year, second years are into that first year. So for our first years, we support with the internship for impact. We've heard that so much more from all the panelists today, that they want to see a sense of purpose and impact when they look at resumes. And we think that's really something students should not ignore. It's something we're encouraging very strongly in Krea. So all sorts of organizations that students could actually get a chance. I think, Arya, you worked with Goonj, is it? You did a project with Goonj last year. So all sorts of projects that students have done in their first year. And then we also support them with research opportunities and immersions. We work very closely with the faculty. We encourage the faculty to really hire Krea students for research opportunities. And that's something that the Career Services Office really, I think last year we had a handful of 8 or 10 research, and this year we have 52 research projects, which is a huge, it's 5 times the jump that we would have ever had. We also look at global immersion opportunities. Unfortunately, of COVID, people haven't been, we haven't been able to be in fly students as much as we wanted last year. Last year we had 1 scholarship, and this year we have 15 scholarships. And Satvika's won 1 scholarship to actually pursue a course in psychology from the King's College. And then all sorts of internships that we try and align. We try to the best that we get a student align. And I know, as of next week, I know I'm sitting at close to, I think about 80% of our class is actually placed for the summer. And we have a handful of 10 or 20 students to kind of, at the most, a dozen of students. We want to work one-on-one and make sure that it's matched with their skill sets and their interest. But effectively, what we want to kind of also impress upon students is, don't look at the internship as your career making. It's really just an immersion. It's your place of just working with a team. It's about learning to write formal emails. It's about writing a report. It's about reporting to your boss. It's being nice to a colleague. That's really what we emphasize students to kind of work on. So all sorts of summer internships in terms of that's been organized. As Lochana said, she's worked on an IBM project, which is really an experiment that we did. And we hope to expand it next year, working closely with faculty. We really want to encourage 1 externship for every subject or unit. So that way students have academic mentorship as well as industry mentorship into something. And we also look at global internships. So this year, again, 5 students will be working on with global organizations, 4 of them in environment and 1 of them in the area of data. So these are just like kind of the broader opportunities. We really hope we've done decently now. We have 100+ industry immersions, 51+ research projects. For our first years, we have 150 odd projects in the social impact sector. We've improved so much from the last year because industry was hearing a lot more about us. So there's so much that's happening at the 2-member career office, which we'll hopefully expand, but we stretch ourselves as much. And we just hope we're making a difference to some of the students and helping them along the way. I'm happy for any of the students to comment a bit about any of their projects and what they're going to work on in this summer.
Absolutely. In fact, that's the next segment that we're going into, is internships and those experiences. But I just want to add that we are all we all belong to a generation, whether it's me or Kala or Vikram, Meenu, Rachna, Chirantan, we all belong to a generation where industry exposure and internships were not even words that we heard of when we were in college. These things didn't exist. And to see how far we've come in India, and the kind of work that is being done in our own career services office, and there's, it's phenomenal, and there's always room for, we'll always want to do more, and we will, because there is a singular agenda of making sure that these kids are prepared to go out there in the world and follow their passions, and that's the bottom line, right?
Yeah, and I think it's also very unique, Bhakti. I just want to add one bit here, that internships at the undergraduate is not common. You've heard about it in business schools, and even today in a bulk of colleges, you could be talking to any college affiliated to Madras University and a Bombay University. Students really don't think about that internship. And let's also not forget, I don't know, any of the students group here are on a work study. I mean, what a great opportunity for students to actually, work while you study. And the work study policy at Krea allows for students to be working with projects within Krea, with any of our divisions and functions where they get paid for it. And so these, I don't think, are even opportunities, kind of formats. I mean, we've heard a lot of those internationally, but haven't really, it's not really part of the system here in India, and definitely not at an undergraduate. Somebody asked earlier, is liberal arts kind of light? And some of these kids, I know, they get so used to, I think, studying and doing so much. At the careers office, they would be doing 2 research projects, and then I also want to do an industry project. I'm like, where do you have more than 24 hours in a day? How are you going to do this? It's just, they're so, I think, get into sometimes this grind of working hard so much, it puts them into a mold of, if any of these students today are sitting without a weekend, without an assignment to do, I think they'll be like with a nightmare, waking up, they've forgotten a deadline or something like that. I can see that happen to any of them, because it comes to us saying, I'm doing this, I'm doing a global project, I'm also going to do this immersion, but I have 4 hours of time. Can I do something else on this 3 hours or 4 hours that I have in a day? And it's really, I think, a culture change, and that culture change, I think, might be good. And I think it's good for this generation, who often get very branded as sometimes lazy, as sometimes low attention span and all of that. So that, I think we're doing a decent job in terms of the career services, to some extent, at least, with the faculty throwing those opportunities, and the ones who are enthusiastic enough will pick it. People work in different paces. That doesn't mean that if you don't pick all of that, you're going to be left behind. I've had students write and said, I've had and these are fantastic toppers in the class, who said, I had enough of academics this year. I want to not do anything this summer. And I think that's a very well-informed choice as well. So I want to tell all these kids signing up here, you don't have to all the time be on the run, and there is time for that in this world, and you don't have to do 15 things. Each person is able to do things at their own pace. Recognize your pace. Importantly, recognize what's of interest. You're not checking a box. I think that's what we don't do at Krea, and that's what the new age institutions don't do. It's not about, I did a course in ethics, I did a course in design. It's about making it part of your fabric, making it part of your culture. So if anything that we're doing in career services, and what we're doing differently in undergraduate, is what are we studying? We're saying apply it, apply it, apply it. We're making that, if we are able to make that culturally important, I think any of these graduates are going to be more employable, not just if they enter the workforce, are going to really do well if they're going to look at masters in any of the top institutions around the world, because that productivity, that industriousness, that ability to focus on something and deliver it, that's something I think hopefully we'll be able to give. So yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Kala. And, I know that Lochana spoke about her externship that she's really excited about. But I do believe, I think, Archit, you did a very interesting internship in your first year, which was, I think, with LEAD. Why don't you tell us quickly about that experience?
Yeah, so I interned with LEAD, which is an organization under Krea. It's basically a research organization which does a lot of projects even in the social sector. So I interned with the communications department to do for a project called research proposal development. So it's basically once the eminent researchers contribute their content that needs to be put into a research proposal, drafting the proposal so that it's ready to be sent to a donor or a grants organization is the purpose of the communications, is a role of the communications team, and I helped in that process. So that was pretty interesting for me. It exposed me to various facets, research, the social sector, etc. So it was a pretty interesting and informative, and overall it was very good. I'm grateful to the CSO that I was provided such an opportunity.
Awesome. Some of you have, in fact, all of you have experienced a few months on campus, a little under a year. And now we all are in the pandemic situation. We are at home in our respective cities. You are one of those few cohorts. I think you'll probably realize how historic your year was, because you're probably one of those cohorts that experienced online and offline, in the same sort of college degree years. So I really want you to share, because we get a lot of these questions, that what is the online college experience like? What is the difference? And the good and the bad, because we all know that it's a huge learning. So I think, who would like to go ahead and share their experience of their online college experience? Arya, would you like to go ahead?
Sure. So we were sent home from college when the pandemic hit, and it was just in the middle of a term which had just started. We had all started settling into our courses. And something that really struck me when we got back was that the profs altered the courses so that they could be done online. And not only that, they used the fact that we were in a pandemic. They used ideas that came up. So we were doing an ethics course, for example. So they used the ideas of the pandemic and things like that within that course. So it's this is something which I really like about Krea, that they pick up things that are happening at the moment and they weave them into the courses. As for the actual classes, I think firstly the profs have been really just extremely generous, extremely helpful with sort of pulling students through the course if they're having any trouble, especially with the fact that it's online, right? There's certainly some amount of missing the usual campus and going down to the dining hall with your friends and things like that. But I think having classes really helps. You get to see people. I think the student government has done a good job. So we have a student government. They are trying to get students to come together for different platforms. Club activities are helping. So it's not like our student life has stopped or died down. It's just gone into a different form, which of course is not anywhere near where it could be on campus, because I mean that's what's happened to everybody. But I think it has been kept going, and I think that's really impressive.
Sorry, it takes a second to unmute. Satvik, I really want to hear your experience. I know that last week you shared some very interesting insights on the difference between online and offline. Why don't you tell us your experience?
Right. So I think Arya spoke about how the professors have been supporting us, and that's something that I spoke about last week as well, which is just, I mean, adapting the module and the curriculum is something that's being done, but also adapting the entire culture is very important given the context that we're in, keeping in mind why everything's happening digitally. We're in the middle of a life-changing pandemic, and the fact that the professors, they've been so adjusting, so kind. You can go and talk to them about anything. Just tell them that, you're not feeling up to writing. As a literature minor, I have to do a lot of writing, a lot of written assignments. And sometimes you just don't get the motivation. You're just feeling low. You don't feel like writing. And the professors are totally okay, even if you go and tell them, this is not something that is at the top of my priority list right now. Or our professors to discuss about how, when the world is going through all of this, you can't really be expected to sit and focus on a literature assignment about something. So the professors understand us completely. Our classes begin, at least my classes begin with the professors having a check-in and asking us how we're doing, checking in on our mental state, on our physical, emotional state. So you don't really feel like you're made to, you push yourself through something that doesn't matter to you right now, or is something that's very difficult for you to do. Your professors are walking along with you every step of the way, guiding you, helping you, get through this whole situation. And I also wanted to add about in terms of the internships and opportunities and things like that, because we did have a bit of our first year online, but our internships for the first year and the second year have been entirely online, not on campus. So I think that the Career Service Office did a very great job, especially in the first year, putting together, adapting an entire, originally it was supposed to be offline, but then converting all of that to an online model in a short time span is not easy, especially with an upcoming university. But they did a great job with that as well. And last year, I had the opportunity to work with the Office of Student Life in a summer internship to actually plan the orientation week for the new cohort, so my juniors right now. So opportunities like that, where you learn leadership, you learn time management, you're working with uncertainties, you're navigating your way through, now I have planning an online orientation. So things like that are things that you really learn. And I think Kala spoke about how our internships are adapted to the things that we're learning in our classes. So which is very useful, because the King Scholarship that I received is a course entirely in psychology, exploring the connections between the mind and body. So, and in addition to that, there was also research that we're doing in our courses. I have a research course for qualitative research in psychology, and using that, my learnings from there, I was able to sort of extrapolate that onto writing a research proposal for an opportunity that came up with the Career Service Office. And I was able to get a research mentorship with the George Institute for Global Health. So the online, whether you're learning through classes or you're learning through your internships and things like that, it's been tailored in a way that allows you to learn and grow even digitally and even through a distance, and enhances your courses, doesn't put a break onto your learning. And I think that that's amazing.
Thank you, Satvik. I'm just always amazed by the passion that all of you speak with. And I'm very aware that it's Saturday night and you all spend this evening with us while there's lockdown. So it's not like you can get out of the house and do much, but it's Saturday evening. So I just want to sort of end with one question, which is, other than the fact that, other than the myths that people have about liberal education as being light, which we've already spoken about, is there anything else that you would like to clarify, or just reflect on your own experiences? I remember Arya talking about how, some of the people around her were asking, why are you doing this? And, so you've all had questions from family members, perhaps, on why did you choose liberal education? Why are you doing what you're doing? There are parents and students right now who are watching you. Is there any message or any myth that you'd like to bust that you think will help these students make the right choice and choose a liberal education if it's befitting? So any words of wisdom, any of you?
Yeah, could I go ahead?
Please, Archit, please do.
Yeah. So so I'd like to point out that it's liberal education and not just liberal arts, because that's an important point, because traditionally it has been thought so that even for the few people who know about liberal education, there's a myth that it's only about liberal arts and not much about the sciences. But that's not true. So as Arvind spoke a lot about, while we preserve the content of the science syllabus that needs to be done in the undergraduate level, in addition to that, it is that I've spoken to my friends in other universities, and they're forced to do certain courses probably which they don't like, or probably that is not going to benefit them in the long run. It's just to cover up the credit requirements of UGC. But we instead use our credits to learn something that exposes us to various fields, like in the first year or in the second year to the minor that we choose. So I feel liberal arts and sciences is also about the sciences, and though it doesn't lose the rigor of normal universities, there's an added advantage that you get to do different things and the things that you like that would traditionally be imposed on you by universities.
Yeah, I think you've really hit the nail on the head with that one. Just to give you a context, because John corrected me, Professor John Matthew, and he said it is not liberal education, it is liberal arts. Because in America, in North America, traditionally, it's liberal arts. But the indication in India for when anyone says arts is humanities, whereas in North America or in Europe, it is arts and sciences. Arts does not indicate just humanities. But in the Indian context, the understanding of most people is when you say arts, it's humanities, right? Which is why we've also evolved this term liberal education, because then it's about interwoven arts and sciences. So thanks for bringing that up, Archit. Before I take comments from everyone else, we still have about 65 people who are extremely excited in attending this session. So for their benefit, I just want to tell you, if you want to be a part of this fantastic culture, our last round of applications for this year, for the cohort of 2024, is on till the 31st of May. That's the last date for your application deadline. There will be no extension of this deadline. So if you want to apply, please go ahead. I'm just going to...
Sorry, you're
You're
muted.
Did I just say all of that on mute?
No, we heard you.
Just the last 5 seconds.
Okay, so I said I've just posted the admissions link on the chat box, because our last date for applications is the 31st of May. I hope everybody heard that. And with that, yes, any final comments? Arvind, Abhimanyu, Satvika, Lochana, Arya, Archit, you guys are fantastic. Any parting shot that you would like to have or give?
May I go ahead? No, I just want to add a little bit about the interwovenness. So I spoke about the externship with IBM, and that's basically designing a chatbot, which is more inclined towards computer science, right? But career services doesn't limit the opportunity only for computer science majors. It gives the opportunities for all the students to apply. And I believe Advait, an economics major, is also the one who is selected for an IBM externship. And in addition, this summer I am selected for a research internship, which comes under the domain of physics. And I'm not doing physics in any little way. My major is computer science and my minor is math. But I am given the freedom and the liberty to choose and apply for externships or internships, which I feel, okay, fine, I'll get that exploration in some sense. And they also will are so welcoming in the sense that, okay, fine, you apply it. If you have the skill sets, you will be selected, but they'll not limit or constrain you in some sense. So
thank you, Lochana. That was that was a very passionate sharing of your experience, and I think it really adds a lot of value to what we've just discussed. And we've had a bunch of comments, so many people talking about how parents need to be educated about liberal education more than students, and I'm completely in agreement with that. With that, if we're all done and everybody shared what they had to share, I just want to end this and say thank you all. Lochana, Arvind, Satvika, Archit, Arya, Abhimanyu, you guys are phenomenal. We are so proud of you, and we wish you the best. And we want to see you on many more such platforms, sharing experiences, because like I was telling you yesterday, this is an important conversation, not just for Krea, but this is an important conversation for so many students who are literally facing way more confusion than we ever did because pandemic, right? So thank you for making a difference. And I'm sure your experiences have helped them to a large extent in making up their minds about what they want to do. So really, thank you so much for joining us this evening, and have a great rest of the evening. Thank you so much. And to all the participants who are here with us, we're so heartened to see all of you hang around. I know a few of you have been seeing these names through the day, who've been asking questions in every panel. And, hats off to your commitment. I know some of you are also around 2 and 3 admits. So we're very excited to have you in Krea. And good night and good luck, all of you. Thank you.